Hello Dark Souls fans, Methodical Gamer here, bringing you guys another Dark Souls 2 PvP build. Today we're looking at the Dark Lost Center Sword. This is without a doubt one of the strongest swords in the game. I have doubled this build to be a Hexer build. We'll talk about some of the Pyromancies and the Hexes that go along with this build in a second. But first let's flip over to the stats, and you can see this sword has a 791 AR. The base stat requirements for the Lost Center Sword is 24 Strength and 18 Dexterity. It scales with a C in Strength and a D in Dexterity under normal infusement, but under Dark infusement, Strength and Dexterity scale with a D, and Dark scales with a B. The moveset to the Lost Center Sword is very similar to the other Ultra Great Sword weapon types. So this is a slash type weapon, and the rolling two-hand attack on this weapon is the only thrust attack. I would like to go ahead and mention the downside to the Lost Center Sword. It's the only one I can really think of, and it's the tracking. All the attacks that come from your typical one-hand or two-hand R1s are going to be vertical strikes, and the tracking is not very good. So what you're going to need to do when using the sword, to utilize it best, you're going to need to master playing with it non-target locked. Once that concept is mastered, you want to start playing around with the idea of baiting your opponents. This is the perfect sword to do it, especially with the one-handed R1 attacks. Alright, now let's start talking about the Hexer side of this build. I know for a fact that the Hexes in this build are not what you would consider top tier Hexes, but they're used in a way that I can get the opponent in line with what I want to do with my sword, and that's the way I use the Hexes for this build. So let me be more specific. Dark Fog, for example. When Dark Souls 2 first came out, that was the most OP Hex I think I've ever seen. Insta poison, and it was ridiculous amounts of damage that we're just done with it. Now, it is so hard to get your opponent even poisoned with Dark Fog. I don't think I've even done it once in the arena with this build yet. But I think it's almost psychological scarring that when someone sees Dark Fog in the arena, it's an immediate impulse to get out of that fog. I capitalize on this in two ways. Either I'm wanting the opponent to charge me so that I can hit them with my sword, or I'll run into the fog myself, use the cover to start launching Forbidden Sun. The last thing I want to mention about the Hexes with this build is the Sunset Staff that I'm using. I'm using the Dark Infused Sunset Staff, which is the best staff for Hex damage in Dark Souls 2. The only downside that I can think of for this staff would be its casting time. The staff requires 22 Intelligence and 18 Faith, which is not much of a requirement at all, especially for a Hex build. Surprisingly enough, you keep the same scaling when you transfer it from traditional scaling to dark or even magic scaling. The scaling stays the same throughout. So in actuality, what is changing is the base stats. It's not changing what it's being scaled with or how it's being scaled. It's changing how much damage is going to be done on a Hex versus magic or sorcery. In my recent Bloodborne video, I gave an advertisement for my Twitch account, which I'm going to place in the upper right hand corner of the screen. A lot of you guys follow me, and I appreciate that because you guys are going to be getting notifications of when I go live so you can watch me make my builds live. Something else I want to offer to you guys is a Twitter account. So I've made a Twitter account for my channel. I'm going to post that in the lower right hand side of the page. So if you guys would like to discuss a build or you'd like to chat about Dark Souls, feel free. Guys, this is a fantastic build. Highly recommend you making it, testing it out for yourself. If you learned something or if you like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time, play smart and keep on winning.